President Abdel Fattah Sisi, President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Your Excellencies, guests of Egypt, good morning and welcome all of you for the cradle of civilizations, Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh, that hosts the annual meetings of the African Development Bank under the sponsorship of the President Abdel Fattah Sisi in the framework of the Egyptian state keenness on supporting integration between the African institutions and developing them through constant cooperation with development stakeholders. The meetings are held with the presence of 4,000 participants from 81 states under the theme Mobilizing Private Sector Financing for Climate and Green Growth in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, guests of Egypt, welcome again in your second country, Egypt. And we hope you a happy stay, wish you a happy stay and rich productive discussions to achieve its goals. Let us welcome the General Secretary of the African Development Bank Group, Professor Vincent Baheli, who will moderate the opening session for the meetings. Professor Baheli.
His Excellency Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, President of the Arab Republic of Egypt. His Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of the Union of the Comoros and Chairperson of the African Union. His Excellency Emerson Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. His Excellency Philip Mpango, Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, representing Her Excellency Madam Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania. The Right Honorable Mr. Edward Ngirente, Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, representing His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda. His Excellency Mr. Gervais Ndirakubuka, Prime Minister of the Republic of Burundi, representing His Excellency Mr. Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of the Republic of Burundi. His Excellency Hamza Abdi Bare, Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Somalia, representing His Excellency Mr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, President of the Federal Republic of Somalia. His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission. His Excellency Mustafa Madbouli, the Prime Minister of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Honorable Hassan Abdallah, Acting Governor of the Central Bank of the Arab Republic of Egypt, and AFDB Governor and Chairperson of the Boards of Governors of the African Development Bank Group. Honorable Governors of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akinwumi A. Adesina, President of the African Development Bank Group. His Excellency Dr. Sultan Ahmed Jabbar, Minister of Industry and Advanced Technology of the United Arab Emirates, and the UAE Special Envoy for Climate Change and COP28 President-designate. Alternate Governors of the African Development Bank Group, Senior officials of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Mr. Omar Kabaj, former president of the African Development Bank Group, His Excellency, Flag Major General Fuda, the Governor of the South Sinai Governorate, heads of regional economic communities and organizations and financial institutions, members of the diplomatic corps, executive directors of the African Development Bank Group, the senior management and staff of the African Development Bank Group, media houses, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vincent Mehile, Secretary General of the African Development Bank Group, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the 2023 annual meetings of the Boards of Governors of the African Development Bank and the African Development Fund in this beautiful city of Sharm el-Sheikh, the city of peace. On this very important occasion, I would like to express our profound gratitude to all of you for kindly and favorably responding to our invitation. Permit me, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to convey specially our deepest and sincere appreciation to Honorable Hassan Abdallah, the chairperson of the Boards of Governors of the Bank Group, and his staff for the wonderful and sterling work they have done leading to the Bank Group's meeting, which is the meeting of the highest decision-making body of the Bank Group. Honorable Governor, we thank you and we do appreciate you. I also want to use this opportunity to thank His Excellency, Staff Major General Khaled Fuda, the Governor of South Sinai Governorate, for his total support and assistance for these annual meetings. Thank you, Excellency. We know how you've worked so hard with us to assist us. Thank you so much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this year's annual meeting, Mobilizing Private Sector Financing for Climate and Green Growth in Africa, is timely but very loaded. It is therefore our hope that the deliberations during the meetings will provide answers on how the private sector could systematically be made an important stakeholder in the financing of green development of the African continent. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, let me present to you the program of the opening ceremony. We will kick off with a welcome statement by Honorable Hassan Abdallah, the chairperson of the Boards of Governors. And thereafter, we will have the 2023 annual meetings opening video. And that will be followed by the keynote speech by Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of the Bank Group. And we will have a statement from His Excellency, Mr. Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission. We will have also a statement by His Excellency, Mr. Azali Soumani, President of the Union of the Comoros and Chairperson of the African Union. And finally, we will have the opening address by His Excellency, the Head of State, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, President of the Arab Republic of Egypt. It is therefore now my honor to call upon the chairperson of the Boards of Governors, Honorable Hassan Abdallah, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Secretary General. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. فخامة السيد رئيس جمهورية مصر العربية
President of Arab Republic of Egypt, Your Excellencies, heads of states and governments, Dr. the Chairman of the African Development Bank Group, ladies and gentlemen, may peace be upon you. I am glad at the outset to welcome you all in this important event, and it is my pleasure that Egypt hosts such an important conference in the presence of the President Sisi in Sharm el-Sheikh, with the participation and elite of experts and representatives on behalf of financial institutions and development stakeholders. These meetings are a global platform to discuss vital issues in financial forums and exploring views and visions on how to deal with the changes. I wish you all the best stay in this charming city, and I look forward to the outcomes and fruits of our forums and conference to come up with a clear visions for a future roadmap for the mechanisms of dealing with all issues and matters on the table for discussion, which is required in the current stage not only in Africa but worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend my appreciation to the African Development Bank Group on different levels for choosing the theme of the meetings for this year's mobilizing private sector financing for climate and green growth in Africa, to include different axes that are the center of global attention, including providing the necessary financial support to face climate change implications by engaging private sector and activating its role in this regard. Ladies and gentlemen, these meetings come in a time with many updates and developments on different levels, including the conflicts in the financial performance and the high interest rates and the geopolitical conflict and tensions, as well as the implications of COVID-19 pandemic. We were impacted with the financing gaps expanded due to these crisis, which undoubtedly resulted in the limitedness of the ability of government to take steps considering the environmental dimension in consideration for the social and economic development. And I think you agree with me that it agrees on our high necessity to develop the development in the continent, including the African Development Bank, which plays an integral role to strengthen the confidence of the private sector investors, which draws our attention to find new financing mechanisms that support the African continent in the face of these challenges to achieve stability and economic development inclusively. So, despite Africa is the least exporting emission continent to produce emission, it is the most impacted by the emissions. The UN climate program states that 57 to 150 million persons in Africa are impacted by climate change implications in Africa. And this results in the scarcity of agricultural products due to the scarcity of rainwaters. And this reduced the American, which is 12% of the required financing, which reflects the financing gap faced by the African states in this regard. Most budgets suffer from many crises, which requires the private sector to direct more investments towards climate-friendly projects. And this should be translated to active investments and strengthening the cooperation between the private and public sectors. So it's only appropriate right now to follow a new approach to support the African continent, so that our role should not only, the banks should only provide loans and increase the debt burdens, but also increase the financing flows to invest more environment and development projects which strengthen and enhance sustainable development. In this context, and starting from our current need and believing in the important role played by the multilateral development banks, I see the capability that these institutions adopt the message of reducing the debting programs and provide more financing programs through investment and low-cost financing. Egypt is an integral part of these interactions, and consequently these developments and variables have a great impact on the local developments. And here I want to stress that all officials in Egypt are combining efforts to take all necessary measures to decline the changes and impacts of climate change, which is in line with the directives of President Sisi, as he indicated in the Economic Forum in 2022, that every official should perceive the future to overcome challenges. And the Egyptian state is ready to provide the full support for investors. And on the other hand, and as Egypt was the head of the COP27, many initiatives were launched centered on development and sustainable development. As a day is dedicated in the agenda to discuss financial mechanisms to strengthen financing, including debts for climate actions, as well as launching the carbon initiative, which is supported by African governments and the participation of private sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, I conclude my word with extending gratitude to President Sisi for his sponsorship for the meetings of the African Development Bank Group for 2023 and his participation in the opening session of the meetings, and extend my gratitude and thanks for all of you, as I stress my confidence in this great gathering, which include great experts, that it will pave the way to discuss the economic situation globally and locally and regionally, and to discuss visions that burden for the burdens of the African states economically, as these states do not need more debts, as they need more investments, more direct investments and low-cost financing. I wish you all success in these meetings and all the accompanying proceedings. Thank you all for your listening. May peace be upon you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson of the Boards of Governors, for those welcoming words that have a lot in store for the economic challenges that Africa faces. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to use this time now to introduce the annual meetings of 2023 opening video.